This past Saturday, I traveled up to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the Dead Media Market. This is a locally run event that happens every few months at different locations throughout Baton Rouge. It's put on by a nice fella, and you should definitely check out their social media. They're on Facebook and Instagram. And I didn't travel alone. I traveled with my buddy Trey, seen here driving the car very safely. And we decided to try out something we've been planning for a while, which is sort of a casual cosplay featuring the Planet of the Apes. So you can see these lovely pictures of us as we travel past the Blue Bayou Water Park, or I actually don't know if that's still what that's called, but that's what it was when I was a kid, so that's what it'll always be in my mind. It's not a long trip, about an hour for us from where I live, and it was rainy, it was gross, so it's a great time to be inside the Rally Cap Brewing location, which is where the market was located this time around. I didn't really look around too much at Rally Cap Brewing, but they had some great smelling pizzas, so they had that going for them. So here we are walking in. I think it was just a few minutes before the event actually officially kicked off, so it pays to know people. So we kind of got to sneak in a little bit early. I don't know if I was supposed to tell you that, but here's our pals, the Retro Recess, always with the amazing selection of VHS tapes. This time around, they also had some rad records and some of the coolest concert tees that I've seen in a while. You should definitely check them out if you're ever at a show where they are also there. We kind of hung around and caught up with them a little bit. And, I always like to look at the VHS tapes because even though I wouldn't call myself like a VHS collector, so to speak, you never know what's gonna catch your eye. You never know what your collection is missing out on. And you can't not look, right? You gotta look. So I believe I didn't buy anything this time around. Sorry about that, y'all. Maybe next time I'll part with some of my money. But you gotta catch up with your pals whenever you get to one of these events, because that's what it's all about at these things, is the people that you see every time, the smiling faces, the lovely folks who make these events actually worth going to, because without them, it's just a bunch of stuff on tables, right? I did find a couple Planet of the Apes tapes to point out. You gotta stick with the theme. I, of course, was running my mouth and talking back and forth to the Retro Recess. You can never get enough of me running my mouth. They were looking at a tape called Mel. It was a VHS of I think it was about a turtle with Ernest Borgnine. The audio wasn't great, so I didn't play it, but we also talked about Baby, which is a very obscure VHS about a little dinosaur and some African warlords fighting for dominance over this beast. Pretty weird movie, actually. Definitely worth checking out. I think I actually opened some packs of cards from that movie a while back, so if you ever want to at least see what that movie looks like, then I got you covered. So this Komodo VHS had the cover like it was a chromium cover, like a 90s comic book. Look at this great selection. We got Cube over there. We got a whole bunch of Goosebumps cassettes, Legend, and it took me a minute to see it, but there's a Guyver VHS right there. Ever since I saw that Goofy movie with Mark Hamill in it when I was a kid, I have been kind of obsessed with the Guyver. Of course, most people probably discovered the Guyver through the anime, or I assume there's manga out there as well, but Not me. No, not me. It was the goofy live-action 90s movie that I probably saw on like USA Up All Night or something. That was my introduction to this classic character. And here comes Trey to make the same joke I did about the Planet of the Apes. Look at that. Oh, yeah, you're a little late, buddy. You're a little late. Hey, there's Jack from Video Cult Vintage. Speaking of him, we're about to head on over to his booth any second now. But until then, you know, one of the key elements of being a vendor at one of these shows is you get to look at what everyone's selling before most of the crowds get there. You never know what delicious treasure is waiting at one of your fellow vendors' booths, waiting for you. So here's Jack's table. He's always got a nice array of really cool VHS tapes, cassettes, CDs. He's always got a nice curated box of comics and old horror magazines. Right here, he's got a classic horror sci-fi on VHS, Life Force. Oh, what an awesome, crazy movie that is. You should definitely check that one out if you haven't seen it. You know, it doesn't have to be on VHS if you don't want to, but I'm sure it would be a very unique experience to do that. Here we have something else you don't see very often, which is a whole box full of Laserdiscs. This is a rabbit hole that I've avoided going down, but man, do they look cool. That large size, just, I don't know, man, it just works. It just makes me always have to look at them, even if I'm not going to probably own them.
I think this is the most Laserdiscs I've ever seen in one place.
Yeah, I figured I'd wait. They don't sell.
You can see on the left there the spinner rack of the old pulp novels. I forgot to look at that one closer and kind of spin it around. But it's always fun to see the crazy covers. They always have great art on them. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's kind of the entire allure of a lot of this old stuff, right? Because while I know a lot of folks do actually watch their VHSs and Laserdiscs and stuff like that, most people are just kind of collecting them, right? Like, there's a lot easier ways to consume these things than to actually have the physical item in front of you. But nothing beats that great old artwork. There's the aforementioned curated box of comics and magazines. He had some awesome stuff in here. Old Cracked, some Rue Morgue, bunch of Doctor Who. This Sheena caught my eye. No surprise there. And then you know, some old Playboys in the back. Back in the day, you know, you couldn't just look at this kind of thing on your phone. You had to find it in the woods like a respectable person. Look at that. I went right back to that Howard the Duck. I knew exactly where it was. So that was my first pickup of the day, this large magazine size Howard the Duck. Don't know anything about it, no clue what it was, but it caught my eye, so I brought it home. Yet again, didn't bring enough cash. Learn from me, do not do as I do. Don't rely on being able to pay any way but cash. So this next booth is another good friend of mine, Sam. It goes by Sam I Am Collectibles. Always has just one of the most interesting booths you could possibly find. I know that in some cases interesting is used as, you know, like a placeholder for bad or weird, but that is absolutely not the case. Sam spends forever merchandising his booth so that it's eye-catching. Every time you look at it, I feel like you see something different, something that was definitely there the last time you looked, but you just somehow you didn't see it. So I know I missed out on something in this booth that I would have wanted, and that's always what happens whenever Sam's set up. So if you ever see him again, you gotta check it out. There's were some defective comics. It was like a box set of cards. I didn't buy those, but maybe I should have. I failed to get it on camera very well, but he had some old G.I. Joe licensed Kleenex and a toothbrush. You could kind of see them on the like kind of the right middle of the screen. He had a bunch of pins, a whole bunch of cassettes and VHSs. One of the things I think is neat about shows like this is that the theme of it being dead media has vendors bringing stuff out with them that they maybe normally wouldn't have brought. Like Sam's not usually a big VHS vendor, but he had a nice selection of them at this show. Had a cool bin of these old PVC Star Trek figures. I'm not sure what those were from, but they were all individually factory bagged, which I thought was neat. The next table over is a store that I really enjoy called Sisters in Christ. They're located in New Orleans, and they have just a really cool eclectic mix of things that are sort of, I would say, heavily curated. You know, it's like they have records, VHS, DVDs, comics, posters, and art, things like that. I believe that all of this art that I'm looking through here on the very bottom right corner of the screen was from this guy with the sort of Gundam shirt that just walked away. They're a great store. All they brought for the most part at this show was vinyl records, and that's not something I'm into, so I didn't really look at them too closely. This guy was pretty cool. I didn't catch his name, but he had a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays, as well as some custom gaming items that he had made himself. This next booth had a sign up that said Retro Recyclers, but I couldn't find them on social media. Maybe you'll have better luck than I did. But they had a great assortment of vintage toys and games, as well as a lot of very high quality 3D printed items. I mentioned in my Biloxi video that I don't generally tend to spend too much time looking at 3D printed stuff, but there are a few people in our area that are incredibly talented. They don't just print it out and slap it on the table and charge you money. They actually spend time sanding it, making it look nice, painting it, and this guy, he was very talented. He had a lot of custom items, like there's a Garbage Pail Kids He-Man with Skeletor's skull. There was a large-sized Frankenstein Michelangelo that I picked up just a second ago. Just really great stuff. Hope to see more from this guy. And he was also one of the only booths in the entire market with any number of vintage toys, so I had to dig through. He had a lot of Beetlejuice and Ninja Turtles, He-Man, a couple Sectars. There was a really interesting Rocky Balboa PVC that I thought about picking that one up, but I decided to leave it behind. But really great stuff. Hope to see this guy again in the future, as I said.
What are you asking for the mic?
65.
Dude,
Only because I got a lot of time in it.
It looks great. It's amazing. Like you see 3D printed stuff and it just doesn't look good. This is gorgeous.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Always try and, prop people up when I like what they're doing. So if you see this video, man, I like your stuff. I did not end up coming back and buying that Michelangelo. Maybe one day I'm gonna regret that, because there's no way someone doesn't buy that from him. And the next time I see him, if it's gone, I'm gonna be like, oh, should have bought that. Dang. He also had this upsized punk Donatello that was really nice. Like, seriously, the only way you could tell that they were 3D printed was on the bottoms of their feet. There was some slightly unfinished, unpainted stuff, and I'm sure he could rectify that. But look at that, the RoboCop, Swamp Thing. There's like a Castle Grayskull man down there, and he even had little televisions that he had put working screens into that actually played. He had one that played the entire Friday the 13th remake for some reason, and then another one that played clips from He-Man. So now we're moving into the biggest part of the market, and this was kind of an odd place to have vendors set up. Is their actual brewery area. Now, I think the reason they were in here is maybe they were planning to be outside, but the weather was very nasty, very rainy, cold, and gross. So it seems like they moved them in here, where it was only cold and gross, but not particularly rainy. You see me picking up this Taco Bell Batman cup, and that's because I did end up coming back and buying it, although I don't think I got that part on camera. Still figuring out the amount of battery life that I get recording with this thing. This lady had what looked like a skirt made out of a Lord of the Rings blanket, which, you gotta approve of that. It was pretty creative, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Tons of CDs there. That's some Monster High dolls, which I think Trey ended up buying for his lovely partner. Got some DVDs. Great prices on this stuff. If you're into, especially DVDs and Blu-rays, don't go to Second and Charles and get them. Go to the Dead Media Market. I don't know if you've ever played that PlayStation 2 The Thing game, but it is phenomenal. At least show that to the camera. And they had some really cool old men's magazines here piled up. You see what draws my eye, right? And then, I don't know if it's too small to see, but that was a Game Boy Conker's Bad Fur Day. Well, I don't think that's the name of the Game Boy game, but it was a Conker game. And then here we're coming up on the gentleman who took most of my money at this event, the wonderful Steven Latta at Latta Toy Explosion. I've known Steven for quite a long time, and every time I see him, I struggle not to hand over half of the contents of my wallet, just because he collects a lot of the same stuff that I do. He loves horror and weird stuff, toys, comics, tapes. Just, if you like it, and it's cool, he's probably got it. You can see right here, this crate is full of really neat comics. There's a Silverhawks with like a crazy chrome cover.
Dude! What's up, Steven? How you doing, man?
And lots of Vampirella in there. Tons of Motu. I kind of wish I got that Vampirella with the Dracula cover. Really could have just dumped my whole wallet on the table and just said, well, what can I get for this? This box in the front that I was flipping through had a bunch of Super 7 reaction figures of various Universal Monsters figures. You can see that cool Supernaturals character with the holograms sticking out. And, like a goof, I was holding on to a sack of Godzilla figures that I got from Sam. And so I'm trying to look through these books with one hand like an idiot. But even so hobbled, I did manage to find something in this stack. But it's not what you're gonna think. You're not ever gonna guess. Go ahead, try to guess. That's right, it's Air Raiders #1. Oh, baby. He had a ton of VHS tapes down on the bottom. He had some big box G.I. Joe tapes that were really cool, although another fellow vendor, I think, snapped up most of those before I even got there. I love little bins like this full of stuff. It's like, how do you not dig through a bin full of random little happy things? Like, look at those old Ghostbusters stickers. He had a bunch of paperwork from various 80s toy lines. Like, that's a Centurion's booklet. I probably should have got that too. I mean, his prices are always super reasonable. I did grab this Sky Commanders booklet because, well, I have a bunch of Sky Commanders figures, but I don't have any packaging for them yet. So I guess if you can't get packaging, you gotta settle for what you can get. And then he ended up giving me a really great price on all of these random wax packs. There's a bunch of Ghostbusters 2 packs and some Batman packs. Although I noticed when I was editing that I did miss one pack of Batman. So hopefully somebody else came along and scooped that up at that great deal. Because I definitely meant to get it. And then once I thought I was done, right? Once I finally got through all of those packs in there, then I realized, oh my goodness, there's a whole nother crate full of comics I gotta look at. What a great, horrible burden, right? To have to look through another crate of awesome stuff. Look at that, the Technodrome he's got there with Krang, the Krang Madball sitting on top of it. That's hilarious. That's so awesome. And right here, I hit the mother lode of children's books. First off, we got an Inhumanoids book. Holy cow. Then Wheeled Warriors. It was like a sampler platter of bizarre children's properties as books. And I don't know if you've seen my video about the RoboForce books, but I kind of on a kick lately of those. I love the old hand-drawn artwork about these bizarre toy lines. It's just completely crazy to me that someone took their time to draw these things. It's just, I love them so much. This bin of comics had a lot of the same type of stuff. I remember there was some Beavis and Butthead. You can see Rob of RoboCop, some Judge Dredd, Madballs, a couple of old Nintendo Powers. I mean, just phenomenal selection of cool stuff in there. I could have spent all day looking at these things. And I guess compared to how much time I spent at the other booths, I kind of did spend all day there. I love all these large format magazines and comics back in the back. You ever watch a video that you're in and just kind of go, how on earth did you leave that behind? What were you thinking? More monster magazines. I think the thing I'm kicking myself the most over is this large format G.I. Joe comic. Look at the art on that thing. Pretty sure it's the same art as the classic G.I. Joe #1, but it's huge. So here, after I escaped from Steven with a little bit of money left in my pocket, I had to go explore the rest of the vendors. There was some vinyl there. There's a box of comics I didn't look through. This guy had a bunch of trade paperbacks, which usually that's a pretty great opportunity if you're into reading comics and you don't care about the condition, as long as it's still readable. You could probably get these trades for incredibly cheap. I believe this was a local fellow named Brad, somebody that we see at a lot of local shows. He had a great selection of stuff. Didn't have anything that I quite needed. This box was full of the Crow and some Cerberus in there, and some other stuff in that kind of vein. It wasn't anything that I was too knowledgeable about, and sorry you aren't going to be knowledgeable about it either, because it's still off camera. Oh, there was a Vampirella. Maybe I needed to look a little closer at this box. Now, how did I not pull out that Plan 9 from Outer Space comic? I feel like I'm watching somebody else. The Goon. Some Robotech there. Alright, I definitely was a little hasty describing that box of comics. And then also from the same vendor, he had a nice table full of vintage video games. Not something that I collect myself, but it's always fun to see them, you know, just to kind of remember, like, oh, I had that, I had that, I had that. Right over here, we have a vendor with a lot of 8-tracks. That's a blast from the past, as well as some tapes, some VHS tapes, DVDs, records, and stuff like that. But the thing that this guy had that I didn't really get it on camera was a VHS of Petra, an old Christian rock band that I used to listen to when I was a kid. Man, that really brought me back. He also had a small bin of comics here. It's got like a little Howard the Duck and some. It was mostly Kiss. It ended up being just mostly Kiss comics, which, you know, I'm not a hater of Kiss. I'm just not like a big liker of Kiss. Does that make sense? And then here we have a wonderful vendor that I'm kind of kicking myself for not buying anything from her. She was Scrabby Dabby. She had great pop culture stuff, lots of K-pop, Demon Hunters, some Rocket Fire Explosion, Chuck E. Cheese type stuff, and she even had really nice T-shirts that I wasn't able to film very much of. We got some more VHS tapes. I didn't look too much at these. You know, when you see a certain amount of VHS tapes and you're not like a serious collector, your eyes kind of start to glaze over. But I noticed these guys had some custom VHSs, maybe some that they had made of rare tapes, which I think is a really cool idea, especially as long as you disclose to everybody that that's what's going on. We've got some more vinyl over here. And then right here in the corner is a vendor that I've vended with a couple of times in the past out of Baton Rouge, Larry's Lair. They always have a great selection of video games, vintage video games, and other media and stuff like that. Seems like they're into the shirts and the vintage clothing. But super cool dudes, seem to always have great prices. Definitely check those guys out. They were looking at some old tattoo magazines there that I gotta admit I was kind of interested, but I didn't actually wait around to check them out. So now we're walking past the huge brew kegs. I don't know if that's what those are actually called. And over to I think these were all the artist folks over here. Real nice, real friendly characters over here. They complimented me on my cosplay, so you know I had to like them. Then I stopped and talked to these fine folks at Dark Rainbow Creations. They had some lovely horror stuff, nice juxtaposition between the cute and the creepy. Definitely worth taking a look at them on Instagram.
I started doing the background, and I was like, oh, it's like Bad Brains, if you remember the old punk band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it reminded me of their logo. I was like, well, that just works perfectly.
It made me think of Tarman from Return of the Living Dead. So.
That's what it is. So I just was doing Tarman.
It's like double crossover. That's awesome.
They were very nice folks, had a lot of cool like resin creations, all hand painted, all made out of like wood and found objects, some old picture frames. And right about now was when I got the alert that my camera was about to die. So I knew it was time to wrap up filming and at least make one more pass to make sure there was nothing that I missed. This is when I went back and got the Batman Taco Bell cup and well, I guess you'll have to wait and see what I picked up in my haul here at the end of the video. So we made it back home eventually through the rain and the nasty weather, doing our best not to slide into a ditch. And we didn't, so that's good. So now that you've seen me walking through the Dead Media Market, it's time to take a look at my haul. So we're going to go in chronological order based on the video because it's very important. And you didn't see me get this item, but it was the first thing that I got that day, and it was this Striper Isaiah 53.5 cassette tape that my buddy Trey gave me. I don't know where he got it. I don't know who he had to do awful things to get this tape, but you know, he knows how much love I have for old Christian music and how much it makes me giggle. So he got that for me, and I appreciate it. This guy right here technically counts as a pickup since I was also gifted this by my buddy Trey to facilitate our lovely cosplay as Planet of the Apes astronauts. And he's got a nice little beanie bottom there, so he stands up on his own. So the first thing you saw me get at the Dead Media Market was this Howard the Duck magazine-sized issue. This was definitely an impulse buy from me. So I got this from my buddy Jack over at Video Cult Vintage. He's always got a huge selection of all kinds of interesting stuff, and I'm sure that I talked about that in the video already, so it's probably enough about that one. After I got that nice magazine, that Howard the Duck magazine, that's when I ended up getting pretty much almost everything else that you see. I'm just going to kind of go through it. This was all from my buddy Steve Latta over at the Latta Toy Explosion. If you haven't checked him out on Instagram, you definitely got to do that. He's always posting stuff from his collection and just kind of hanging out and talking about stuff. Great stuff, great guy. So we got a Sky Commanders insert booklet, sort of the cross sell and everything from Sky Commanders, including this radical poster that you definitely can't see all of it at once, but kind of stay tuned for that. I have plans for this Sky Raiders pamphlet. We also got several of these really awesome kids books, including the Sectaurs Invasion of Skull Island, the Inhumanoids, A Monster Among Us. Inhumanoids is like one of my OG dream toy lines that I started collecting really early on in my adventures as an adult toy buyer, and you know, I gotta track down all of these. Steve said he thought there was at least one more, so you know, we got more homework to do. We also got this Wheeled Warriors book, A Message from Audric, another kid stuff book, and look at that, there's one more on there I gotta track down. Also from Steve, this Air Raiders #1 comic book. I've just recently been buying comics as I see them, whichever ones kind of strike my fancy. And I love Air Raiders. It's one of my favorite goofball, silly little toy lines, and so I got number 1. I gotta get the rest of them. Also from Steve, we got this nice chunky pile of Batman trading cards and Ghostbusters 2 trading cards. These are some that I haven't opened up very many, so look forward to seeing more of these Ghostbusters cards opened up on the channel if that's what you're into. And I believe that was everything from the Latta Toy Explosion. Then on my way back out to the lobby to look for Trey, who was my ride there, I saw this Batman cup, and boy, did this hit me somewhere in the nostalgia button. I 100% had this exact Batman cup from Taco Bell when I was a kid, and this was like, it was like unlocking a door in my brain. And the only thing, you know, as a kid, I remember this cup being a lot bigger, so I don't know what that means. So I had to get this. It was $5. I don't even care if that's a good deal or not. It was a great deal for me. But I will say, one of the bummers about getting these old cups is you really can't use them. They're the plastic they're made out of, like the second that you put anything in it, there's a chance it's gonna explode. I had a very sad experience with a Batman Returns cup that I was so excited to drink out of that again, and the first time I put any liquid in it, it just exploded. And then the final thing that I picked up at the Dead Media Market was this Action Masters Inferno from Transformers. Action Masters is one of those toy lines that I was like violently against as a younger collector. I was just like, it's not a Transformer. It can't transform. What do I want it? But my opinion on these things has changed quite a bit. I adore how kind of goofy they are and how simple they are. And now, unfortunately, a lot of other people have picked up on the appeal of these things, so prices have started to go up. But anytime I see one for you know, what's not too much money, I grab these things. So Inferno is added to the Action Masters collection. So as I did in the last video, I'm gonna go ahead and open up a pack of cards. I'm gonna open up one of these Ghostbusters 2 packs because it's not a video without a pack of cards. So here we go. We got a nice intact pack of gum. You know, Steve takes care of his cards. All right. Okay, you're right. That's right. I forgot the sticker is right in the middle of these, so I'm gonna do my best to. Don't look. All right. I think we got an error pack here, y'all. We got 2 stickers, so we're doing it. This is so complicated. It's so complicated. It's not worth it. But we're doing it anyway. Okay. So we got Kitty, celebrities. Who doesn't love a Ghostbuster? We got the Judge. Always feel like there's at least 2 cards in these packs that has to do with the Scoleri brothers right at the beginning of the movie. Dr. Egon. Oh, we got some kind of torture devices on these guys. Everybody is involved with the baby in this movie. Oh, love Ray. Looks like we got, oh, there we go. There's our second Scoleri brothers card. The streak continues. All right, we're only supposed to get 1 sticker, but obviously these packs were blessed, so we got 2 stickers. First one is a whole bunch of ghosts, some awesome freaky artwork. I need to look up who drew these sort of concept sketches for Ghostbusters 2. That's really cool. And finally, we got one of the fellas and their slime packs. So I think that's gonna do it. You know what? I think this was a better sticker, so I'm gonna hold on to that one. So thanks so much for hanging out with me this video. Let me know what you thought about it. Would you like to visit the Dead Media Market yourself? I think you should. It's a really great time, and you never know what you're gonna find there. And I love that they go to different locations, so it's never exactly the same crowd and the same vibes, and you might discover your new favorite place to hang out too, on top of getting some awesome toys and comics and VHS and just whatever else might happen to be there. So let me know what you thought about it, and until next time, let's all try to stay cool. See you again.